Hello, welcome traders. It is Thursday, March 28, 2024, end of the trading week with tomorrow the market's being closed for Good Friday. So we really ended the week today. One more trading day left in the month to get your trades in. And we had a decent day today. Could have been better, could have been worse, but we closed out some hedges and a few other things today. So I'll talk about those trades a little bit more. And we'll also take a look at the markets because I see a huge rotation starting to happen in the markets as the bottom performing sectors now seem to be tech, communications, and consumer discretionary. That's where you're seeing all of your Amazon, Tesla, Google, Meta, Apple, Microsoft. They're all lumped into those three, and they're all, not all, but they're all looking a bit weak here, with Meta looking, I think, fairly ugly. So let's actually jump in and we'll take a look at some of the charts, and then we'll talk about trades we make and what we're doing tomorrow. And we'll look at a few stocks as well today. So a little bit of everything. Let's share screens, get started here. Let me get off the screen so you can see everything that I'm talking about. And let's just start with ES today. So we ran up on the session, but did not break the current all-time highs today. We were doggone close as we started to creep up, and then we just finished down as the day wore on. Take a quick look from the intraday standpoint here. Let's just take a quick look at SPX and see how we opened. So really, we opened just a minor move higher and then just more sideways nothingness for the day. So if you're putting iron condors on 0 DTE, again, just another fantastic most of your day until the end of day. I mean, right now, if you're trading 0 DTE and you're in at the end of the day, you're bananas because everything continues to just go crazy at the end of the day. And we're heading toward the end of the month on Monday. So there's definitely going to be a little bit more activity happening, but really just super sideways action. This thing's really stayed between what about 52.50 and 52.55. Maybe we had 5-point swings for the most part for the entire day until close to the end of the day here. Then we started to heat things up right around 2:45. Saw the markets heading up higher. So we broke out of that range that we were in pretty good to the upside here. And then right around 3:30, that last 30 minutes, yesterday we ran up hard. Today we fell down pretty decently and didn't end the day lower, but we ended the day on a down move on the day. So what does this make for Monday? It makes no difference in what our plans are. However, just little volatility at the end of the day right now as we are watching this market try to figure out what it wants to be when it grows up. I think it still wants to move higher. It knows it's overbought. There's maybe just a little drying up of buying activity, even though maybe there's still some cash on the sidelines. It's just frankly tired, and we're watching things just move sideways. So if we look at the ES here, overall, still in this solid bullish trend that we've been in. However, looking at the daily here, good pop yesterday, sold off a little bit of that pop today overall. So finished the day just slightly lower. But down here, you have MACD falling. And if we try to take a deeper look, you have MACD falling but flat. You got RSI falling a little bit here as well. And then you get the squeeze momentum also coming off, not in a large, fast degree, just slowly the air coming out of the balloon up here. This could still move higher and just rip higher on it. So I think you got to be cautious here because I think you could get a good move to the upside, but you really need a pullback to wash a couple things out, get some momentum back in, let some people take some profits here, and then redeploy that cash again. So I'm expecting still a pullback, maybe a 5%, something like that here, maybe 250 points. Takes us down maybe around 5,000 or so. That would be my guess. Will we drop to 5,100, 5,000, something in there by the end of April? And then who knows where we go the rest of the year, but maybe we start to rip back higher. All right, taking a look at oil here on the day. Oil, big mover on the session here, ran back up now, back to the downtrend line, breaking higher. So new recent highs. Momentum on the RSI is good. Squeeze momentum is good. MACD is running good. So the daily momentum, everything's stacked, moving higher, and it's holding above that 9 EMA pretty well. And if you're looking at the weekly, it's just been a solid uptrending weekly chart here. We can extend this out a little bit more. So just a solid uptrending weekly chart, some higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Now maybe another higher high looks to be in the works here. So just stair-stepping its way higher. Love where CL is right now. Very bullish on oil. I have been for a while. I think we're going to head up into this high 80s. I don't know if we're going to really get much into the 90s, but I think definitely the high 80s is what I'm pegging here. You know, somewhere between 85, 87, 88 before maybe we see this thing start to cool off a bit. I really don't see an impetus to push this thing up into the upper, the middle 90s or more right now, but who knows? But right now it's bullish, setting up really well for ratio spreads, other types of trades that we have on. If we're taking a look at what we've got running in oil, we have 111 trades in oil. We have 112 trades in oil, another 112 trade in oil. We just closed the naked puts of a 112 trade today in oil. We've got naked puts in oil as well. So we're sitting on naked puts. Those are doing fantastic in oil. And we got a strangle in oil. So I've got a lot of trades running in oil right now. I just love the way this thing's setting up for us. If we take a look at gold, pretty solid week. I mean, this was a big up week for gold. Had a huge up week here. Little bit of a pullback and relax, and then boom, shooting up again. So gold on a solid move higher, squeeze firing here to the upside, MACD, RSI, all the weekly moving higher. We can actually tick this thing higher. So let's put in new all-time highs for gold around the 2256.90 level. So let's adjust our all-time highs for gold, which we hit today. And if we're looking at this daily chart, I mean, this thing looks super to the upside. There's a lot of momentum in gold. We had seen a lot come out, little consolidation here, and then bam, ripping right back to the upside as this thing broke out of its little kind of resistance area after a nice consolidation. So this really looks nice. Now we're back to overbought again on the daily and almost overbought on the weekly, but not there quite yet. So we could still rip higher. And you right now can be just riding this 3 ATR higher. So I'm not considering this as being any kind of a resistance type of a piece here. Everything is just pointing up. And I think you could see gold continue to move higher. And if the market really starts to get some downside momentum, then I think you could see gold really, really get going to the upside. So I'd be reluctant to have anything that's got upside capped to it on gold. I'm definitely not in any strangles right now on gold. We are sitting on a 112 trade in gold. So that thing is doing fantastic in gold. And I would like to also be potentially looking at some more naked puts or something here on gold. It's running a little fast. I'd like to see a pullback, but we had one. I didn't get one on, and I should have gotten some ratio spreads on, which is really one of my favorite trades in here. All right, let's take a look at bonds. Taking a look at bonds here. You've been in this downtrending channel for several months now. MACD falling, RSI has been just falling to sideways. Squeeze momentum is coming out. You're now getting a tighter squeeze. So this thing's really starting to squeeze tight. Could see a move one direction or another if we're looking, which it's pretty obvious, but a pretty good size move maybe in one direction or another. But running up, top of the channel, bottom of the channel, top of the channel, didn't get to the bottom midway and move. So this is a good sign that RU's now starting to put in a higher low. We just need to see a higher high above this 122 mark here. In fact, let's draw some a little bit of a line here so it kind of reminds us that that's what we're looking at a bit in here is that we need to break this 122.13 level here to set a new higher high and really break this downtrend a bit. So we haven't broken out of the downtrend yet. We remain in this channel. MACD's trying to get a little improvement as well as RSI, and the squeeze momentum is falling. But squeeze on the weekly and the daily are really, really tight. So I think you could see some moves in bonds. I like 112 trades here in bonds, and I do also like to see some potential long trades, which would be either short puts or call spread, something like that. All right, let's take a look at copper. Copper made its breakout a couple weeks ago, pulled back last week. This week, it just kind of hung in there. For the most part, we'll extend this line out a bit to the end of the month here that we've got. See if this former resistance level acts as support, but you're still maintaining this uptrend channel. For the most part, you're staying above the 21 EMA, even though MACD, RSI, and squeeze momentum has been coming out of copper. I think it's setting up nicely. I tried to get into a triangle yesterday, couldn't get filled, but we're still sitting on a 112 trade here. So I like copper, really like it for 112 trades right now. I think this is setting up really, really nice for a 112 trade. If we continue to get some more pullback, that could be great. And then maybe this thing starts to bounce and move higher. Really got to watch this uptrend line to see, does this hold? We're breaking out sideways from it. Do we break out to the downside? If the 21-day does not hold here on the daily, then we'll look to see if the support level holds. If it does not, we'll see where we go. But I think right in here, you've got to consider that this is potentially a decent area to place some trades in copper. All right, NASDAQ. So we're looking at the tech stocks really in here. I'm going to take this line off. Too many lines makes for a little bit of a mess. Your weekly losing some momentum for 4 straight weeks. The daily's now been losing momentum for a whole week now. Even though, and now you're in a PSAR bearish signal that triggered yesterday. So this doesn't look too hot. The NASDAQ, you're seeing some rotation here where S&P is still hanging in there. NASDAQ is not. And if we look at the Russell, despite anything happening today, you've been breaking out this ascending triangle. We broke, tested it, ran higher, created a new ascending triangle, same trend line, broke that thing to the upside. So this is breaking out of its range. This range was from roughly on our RTY from roughly 2,000 to about 1,650. So if you're really looking at 350 points on the Russell, if we break out, I would be targeting a 350-point breakout from here, which would put us around 2,350 potentially for RTY. Look at the moves on the weekly here. You've got, even though the squeeze momentum's coming out, MACD is still holding in there pretty decently, well above the 0 line. RSI is heading higher on the daily. MACD is rising, RSI is rising, and the squeeze is in a squeeze and potentially looking to fire to the upside as well. So I think you're seeing some good rotation in there. And I want to let's just look at sectors real quick, and then we'll go back and finish what we were looking at. Look at the sectors right now in the market. XLU, rocking. Okay, you're getting huge moves in utilities. Okay, you're getting pretty good, solid upside moves in real estate. You're getting tremendous moves to the upside on financials. So financials helping drive the Russell. Financials just on a absolute tear to the upside. Looking at the regional banks, these are also improving. So now they're breaking out of this descending triangle that we had. You're breaking out. We'll extend this out just so we can see it a little bit more clearly. I don't know where the best place to draw it in there is to get as many touches as possible. But you're breaking out to the upside on regional banks in a strong squeeze. So you're in a strong squeeze, what looks like breakout to the upside. Let's actually add the 50 line in here on the RSI, just so you can get a sense of where the 50 is in relation to everything else. Boom, here. All right. So we're moving strongly to the upside with RSI and MACD. Squeeze has been tight and now might be breaking to the upside here. And if you're taking a look at the weekly here, even though we're in a bearish PSAR signal, MACD is trying to reverse higher, pretty flat. RSI is definitely moving higher. So a little bit of a mixed signal there, but that's also pretty good. Pharma, sideways move. Looking at the XLB here as well. Look at this thing cranking to new high. Oops. So on the materials here, really cranking to these highs. So that's strong. If we're looking at the XLP, which is your consumer staples here, moving to highs. Semiconductors, weaker. Even though they're hanging in there, they've been weak. They're definitely off their highs. But if we look at what's underperforming right now, let's take biotech out of it, even though biotech is underperforming for sure. Okay, you've got XLC starting to tip over on the weekly charts here and weakening a bit on the daily chart. So that's your consumer discretionary, that's your Apple and your Tesla, or sorry, your Amazon and your Tesla. The XLK is your tech. This thing has definitely been pulling back for a whole week now in a squeeze with all the momentum to the downside. Definitely weekly is moving to the downside and the daily also moving to the downside. And if we want to put in our 50 line here just to see where this thing is heading, you can see that we're right at the 50 line. A break of this would show a lot more momentum picking up to the downside. Now, not that it's had a giant amount of momentum to the downside, but you can see that we're slowly heading lower here. Nothing major. It could easily reverse move higher. And then your XLY, okay, here, this is going to be your consumer discretionaries. I'm sorry, this is your Amazon and Tesla, your communications. I'm sorry, the XLC was your Google and your Meta. So XLK is your Apple and your Microsoft. XLY here is your consumer discretionary, which is your Apple, I'm sorry, your Amazon and your Teslas. And we can actually put this little line across here. And this thing's actually not looking too awful shabby here. I do like what we're seeing. We can even draw a decent uptrending line here. So we've got a bit of an ascending triangle moving here. And I think you're going to see that reflected in your Amazon and your Teslas as well. So again, overall, Apple heading lower, doesn't look too great, dragging the tech stocks down. Microsoft heading lower, not looking too great either, heading to its uptrend channel. So that's why your techs are down. Here's your Amazon. It looks like it's now about to break out of this ascending triangle. We've been talking about this for a while now. Tight ascending triangle. This thing looks ready to roll. Hasn't broken out with any great degree, but a couple times it's poked above and just can't seem to do it. Will it happen next week? You're in a squeeze. Momentum seems to be to the upside, at least on the daily, not necessarily the weekly. We'll see if that can get itself going. But if we look at the other component there, that's Tesla. It's really starting to put in a decent base. Look at this move higher on your squeeze. Momentum is starting to come back in. RSI is starting to move up. MACD is starting to move up. If you look at the weekly, MACD is starting to move up. RSI is starting to move up the last couple of weeks. Even though we're in a squeeze to the downside right now, I can see some decent support starting to come in around these levels, and I would not be opposed to trying to get some trades on Tesla here, especially if we pull back or hold this a little bit more. It's fighting with the 21-day and the 9. I think we start to get a break above that. That's where I'm going to be watching. But I think Tesla, at least maybe even from a leap perspective, doesn't look so bad. And I would start to consider this for a short-term put credit spread as well. And if we look at Meta, this is the one to me that looks the worst of everything. All right, so you've got on the weekly chart, MACD falling, RSI coming off of way overbought levels. RSI is dipping hard down below, and momentum seems to be coming out of the squeeze here. But if you look at the daily, MACD falling, RSI definitely falling, in a squeeze to the downside. You broke the 21 EMA today. You've got a little bit of support in here in this range, right about 480 or so. But if we break 480, okay, now you've got potentially to start to consider, are we going to get a gap fill, or do we try to get this gap in here? I really think you got to pay some attention to Meta being weak here, even though Google looks overall pretty decent, but it's got a really large gap here as well. But it looks a lot better, at least from a squeeze RSI. MACD, a little bit of a pullback, and if on the weekly here, really it looks pretty solid on the weekly. So I like Google overall, don't love Meta. So the market's a little conflicted with what it wants to do between those two. And then here's your Nvidia. This thing's just moving, continuing, moving sideways and down a bit. So now you've got a ascending triangle pattern here. You're at the bottom of it. Any more pullback, do we break this 21? We have a problem. MACD, RSI, and squeeze. The momentum is coming out. We're heading into a squeeze. I just think there's a lot of caution right now as you start to rotate around. And I want to just throw two trades of stocks before I jump into our account. I really like what's shaping up in Boeing. I love the fact that CEO is out, chairman of the board is out by the end of this year. If they could go sooner, I think it would be better. They need a culture change to get this ship righted. But you look at this downtrending line, we've been breaking out of it sideways all week this week, popping above the 21 EMA with a rising squeeze momentum, rising RSI, rising MACD, and you've also got a double bottom here on the weekly and rising MACD reversing, and a little bit of an RSI moving higher. I like Boeing here. I think this sets up fantastic. We've already got a leap play on this in the active trader service. We've got leaps running here, and I think we're going to also, this looks a lot like the Tesla play as well for me. So I like Boeing and Tesla for stock plays in the active trader trading service. We'll be putting those trades on next week. So a couple stock trades there for active trader. Income Navigator, we don't trade stocks really at all, at least not in my accounts. I don't. So I stick to futures and I stick to things that I like. But if you are into that swing trading, active trading, we've got a service for you. It's a fantastic service. You got Gabe in there with his active trading levels on futures, scalping futures in there. So we're trading futures daily. We're putting stock picks in. In fact, if just looking at today's activity alone, I've got some charts in there that we added, and then Igor has some trades on McDonald's, AMZN, NVIDIA, ADP, Coin, Intuit. So lots of call butterflies, put butterflies, call spreads, and a bull combo that he did a couple hours ago. So they got this bull combo that's going, and I think that's a fantastic trade. So if you want to, get outside, do a little discretionary trading, certainly check out the active trader service. But that's not what we do in Income Navigator. So let's get back into Income Navigator here and look at what's going on in our particular account as we wrap up this session for today. So overall, on the day, we ended the day with a minus 148 delta, so extraordinarily delta neutral. Love where we are. Theta up to 1229, liking theta in here. A little bit of a bump in the VIX today, up 1.8%, helping us out, giving us a little bit of extra theta, but we did put some trades on today. Netlick, not a huge day to the upside, but we did set another new all-time high to end the week here on Netlick. So highest level of all time for our accounts. And then buying power dropped a bit today as we took some trades off. And then with our barrel, we're sitting at about 55% BPU. So close to the 50, we're just over it. I'm a little bit aggressive here going over the 50%. Now, we've been there before, but without the market even taking me there, I've got a lot of trades on because there are so many great setups here in Income Navigator on the futures that we're doing. It's hard to keep it down when there's just so many good setups and I've got things coming off each day. So we did take a little bit of a loss today. Let's talk about that. We ended the week up another 3,860 for the week. So we're up 84.75 so far for this month, which is fantastic considering what we've taken off. So what closed today? Well, one of the things too was we've had hedges starting to come off. So you got a hedge that came off today. And this is just part of our deal. You know, we buy hedges and we leave these hedges on. We have hedge ladders that we're running. So we are hedging this portfolio. As much as I don't like to talk about hedging and certain types of hedges, I've got hedges on because it's the right thing to do, and you've got to put it in to your portfolio. So let's take a look at the 3 trades today. The first trade today was we just had a long-term 112. We just had the PDS, the put debit spread, part of a long-term one. We just had that expire today. So not really a loss, but it's a loss in my P&L. So realized loss of $800 there. We had a hedge come off. I just talked about that. 21.75 on that hedge. Hedge expired today. And then we also took off the put debit spread. We had that expire in one of our NASDAQ BA 112s. So that came off today. And then we did close naked puts of an oil 112 trade. Came off in 48 days. So again, you're roughly about 75% of the time, almost dead on the money. Captured 97% of the premium, 2,720. So that gives us, okay, a little bit of a loss today, but overall, pretty good. Love where we are sitting in here for the month. We've got one more day left in this month, and then we'll see where we go from here. But I love the setups of where we are. I'm excited with the way the market's shaping up. I think it's giving us some really great plays to move forward. So overall, taking a look at what I've got open, today we opened a new BA 112 trade in the NASDAQ today. We opened also a ratio spread today in the Russell. So both of those have been set up. This is a second ratio spread in RTY, the Russell futures. I love it. I like where we are. We're up so much in the first one after 3 days. I may take it off early, like 25% in just 3 days. So it's performing fantastic. Very bullish on RTY here. So I'm going to keep putting bullish trades on. So getting a little cautious on the NASDAQ, which is hence the BA 112. Ratio spreads in RTY. We do have in the active trader portfolio, like I said, we do have the BA leaps that are going on there. We'll probably get into some Boeing and some Tesla additional trades as well. So we're looking pretty good. I like where we are. We're sitting there at great buying power. So overall, pretty solid with where we are on everything that's going on here. So I'm excited to end the week. Tomorrow we'll do some live sessions with the members in our Discord. We're really going to get into the BA and FB trades a little bit deeper and which ones to use and why right now. So we'll talk about that in the service. But other than that, watch the rotation. Watch what's starting to happen under the surface here. Not saying we're crashing. Not saying anything else is going to happen right now. But you got to start to watch what's rotating, what's moving. Okay, the Russell starting to crank itself up while the NASDAQ starts to pull itself back. So tech's coming down, small caps are starting to rise. S&P's hanging tough in there because it's got a little bit of both in it. And I think there's some cracks at the top of some of the big tech names that you got to watch. But there's still a couple opportunities in there. But Meta, Apple, not looking too good. NVIDIA getting maybe a little bit of a pullback here. Microsoft not looking great. But I do like what I see out of Amazon, and I do like what I see out of Google here as well, and potentially some opportunities in Tesla. All right, so we'll get more into those tomorrow. We'll do a little bit of an update on what stocks I think we want to hop into tomorrow. We'll see what we put out to everybody here. If you got great value out of this today, even if you didn't get good value, but you liked it anyway, hit the thumbs up down below. Give me a like down below. Help us out. See if we can get to 200 likes on this post today. Enjoy a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.